legends. The podcast about urban legends. Meet your host, that's right, Neil Chris Huntley. Hello and welcome to this special New Year's edition of Urban Legends, the podcast, quite simply, about urban legends. I am Babylon Zoo superfan, Chris Flynn, and with me, a very special guest this week. He recently shocked his devoted followers by making the move from Memphis, Tennessee, over to the United Kingdom. His stage name, which is what you'll know him by, is Whispering William Big Time. It's Mr.
Neil Herbert.
Hi, Neil.
How you doing? How you doing in not particularly sunny UK?
Yeah, good. So you've been a staple on the country music scene for 40 years now.
Yeah, just a good old boy, kicking back, telling it like it is.
Yeah. So what made you decide to leave your hometown of Memphis and move over to the UK?
Well, I'd heard, as you know, Elvis still lives.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you see him knocking around occasionally at Graceland, just like repairing some windows, things like that.
Yeah,
but I'd heard some rumours. Yeah, not seen him recently though. But I heard some rumours that he was sticking down a septic tanks. Yeah, and I'd heard some rumours he'd moved down to like Embassy Court in Brighton and was doing like some some caulking of the windows out there. So
nice.
Yeah, packed up, moved down.
Nice. And your recent album has done very well critically. I personally love it. It's called Railroad Tracks and High Heels, and it's based on, I believe, the New Deal, which happened in the 1930s.
1930s, yeah.
FDR.
Yeah. Roosevelt.
Yeah. So what kind of really got you interested in that particular time period?
Well, as a huge Steinbeck fan, I've always been fascinated by the Great Depression, and I started reading up on it, and it just seemed like
a lot of good songs.
That last time when the government really cared about the people.
Yeah, you could
ride this great country of ours.
Ride the rails
to freedom.
Yeah, wear your high heels.
Push some broom. That's all a problem. Push a broom in the 30s. Yeah,
lovely.
There's just no freedom anymore. I've come to see if I can find it. Me and Elvis in the UK. So,
would you call yourself a libertarian?
Apparently, yeah. No, I'm very much looking for a third way. I don't trust either of our sort of current parties.
So I think it would be fair to say that your political leanings are confusing, both being a fan of the New Deal and also being a libertarian. Is that why you moved to the UK? Do you think this is a nice, a kind of a nice middle ground between sort of big government and no government at all?
What I like in my politics, I like it to be wildly inconsistent, and I feel like the UK is doing that better than anywhere at the moment.
Oh yeah, we're ahead of the game on that one.
Yeah.
So I believe that
you're ahead of the curve.
Oh, well ahead. The kind of post truth these days. So I believe that for this New Year's special, you've brought to us a New Year's urban myth, which you remember from being a kid. Is that true?
Yeah. Well, this is when obviously I was around. Back when I was sort of teaching Woody Guthrie to play guitar.
Yep.
Back in the 20s.
Yeah.
And I remember the good old Drake Hotel in Chicago, Illinois, that getting built. You won't be so familiar with the Drake Hotel, I don't suspect, Chris. Being from the UK, but
is it anything?
Beautiful building.
Was it built by the fabulous pop messiah Drake from Canada?
No, it's nothing to do with the Canadian
hip hop guy
entrepreneur. Yeah, he's he should probably buy it now.
He should buy it
by the Hilton chain, yeah,
and rename it.
He should buy it and then just go and live in it.
That's what. I believe that he was actually in. He got into a legal dispute over the name, didn't he? Because that's what he calls his crib. He calls it the Drake Hotel. And despite that was around in the 20s, he felt that they'd impinged on his copyright. I believe I read that.
Do you believe you read that?
I read a lot of things despite being illiterate.
Isn't that funny? Yeah, fair enough.
Interesting to see how that comes out, that court case.
Well, we'll keep a close eye on that. Right, so back to the 20s. So pre Great Depression,
Roaring 20s.
It's the Roaring 20s where everything was sort of kicking off before it all sort of fell apart. We needed a new deal.
Was there was there still prohibition at that point? So it was like,
oh, you can be sure of it.
So it'd be Al Capone's kind of time.
Yeah, was he knocking around Chicago? I suppose he would have been, wouldn't he? Yeah. I should know. I was there.
You were there.
So, yeah. No, he was. I mean, I'll tell you the thing about Capone and those other guys. You were respectful to them; they were respectful to you.
Unless you're Irish.
Yeah, obviously. Couldn't be that. But then you're going to join the police, aren't you? If you're Irish,
or the Irish gang.
So yeah. Now they dressed nice and they treated their mothers well, Chris.
Yeah, they did treat their mothers well. Less so their sex workers, but
yeah. Well,
yeah, got to draw a line.
Wasn't commented upon in those.
Can't
days.
Be nice to everyone, can you? Got to draw a line somewhere.
Nah, you're trying to make money. You're not going to be building no Drake hotels. You're worried about offending people.
the movie left.
It's just ridiculous. I mean, that's one thing I'm hoping as well. As I think you're putting your best foot forward in the UK. Sort of, I want to be low, like low regulation.
Yeah, well, I noticed that you left America almost a day after Trump got out of office. So you thought, where's comfortable for me? I can speak the same language and have someone bad, but in a different way.
Well, to be honest, I wanted to vote for Elon Musk, but you couldn't. Apparently, this fucking pen pusher, told me. So, well, why? Where's the freedom in that?
I know he's not running for office, but
something to do with the fact that he's not running for office.
Well, it doesn't matter if the majority of people want him; then he'll have to step up.
Yeah, precisely. What this country needs.
Exactly, and a reluctant oligarchy.
Yeah, exactly. You got to be a billionaire at least, haven't you?
Oh, if you're not a billionaire, you've not tried.
Like the US.
I mean, he pulled himself up from his bootstraps. What did he have when he was growing up? A father who owned an emerald mine in South Africa. I mean, that's not going to get you very far, is it? When it comes to setting up your first businesses.
He took it around with it.
He did well with very little.
Exactly. Well, he's setting up his own space program. Respect. Yeah.
It'd be good if any of his companies turned a profit first, but that's just that's tech. That's tech for you.
When you're on the cutting edge, you can't worry about old-fashioned, hidebound thinking like making a profit.
No. You just got to get venture.
It's far too quick for that. Yeah, let's get more of that venture capitalist cash. It's fine. Right, and in no way does this reflect the fact that there's not really much to say about the Drake Hotel.
Is it quite a short story?
It's this is a spooky little short story for the new year. I think is how we're going to.
Because what I found, because I had a look for New Year's stuff, and there isn't much around New Year's beyond the fact that you should just set your house up how you want it for the rest of the year. I have some food in, make sure.
Yeah.
Some gorgeous man comes through the thresholds. It's the first one of the new year.
Exactly. Otherwise, you're going to get shit I go coming all year round. Don't pester you. Don't want that. British trolls like me knocking on the door.
Yeah. So, and the only other one which I could find for New Year's was the myth behind Chinese New Year, but we might do that on Chinese New Year. Won't it be more relevant?
Yeah. That'll probably be a bit more pertinent. And there was, because what was I reading as well? Like something about the concept of celebrating New Year's goes back to Babylonian times, supposedly.
Yep.
Is it the defeat of Tiamat?
And Chinese New Year is their oldest celebration. It goes back 4,000 years at least. So we've been celebrating New Year's for a long time.
I feel like it's probably got slightly different.
Yeah.
I don't suppose the ancient Babylonians. Actually, maybe they were just getting off their heads.
Probably. They loved a bit of it.
Yeah, probably.
Singing about the Anunnaki.
Going down some overpriced pub.
Yeah, it's got payloads on the door to go in. Yeah. Drink some mead.
But imagine it's the 1920s, the roaring 1920s.
Yes.
And
100 years ago.
And there's a new hotel that's just opened up.
Built by Drake.
The Drake Hotel. So I'm going to read out to you. There's a little advert here. So from hauntedjourneys.com, there's a little
just
blog
quick,
on this.
So was it named after someone whose second name was Drake, or was it named after the birds, the Drake?
No, it was the family. I think they were called the Drakes or something like that.
Were they birds?
Let me have a quick look. Yes, it was a bunch of sentient Drakes. Yeah. They made a lot of money bootlegging in Chicago.
They could just fly over the border.
A lot of bathroom gin. Yeah, they could just fly the stuff away from the police couldn't catch them. No, Tracy Drake and John Drake Jr.
John Drake Jr. Hey, I'm John Drake Jr.
Service.
Come see my hotel.
You got any real estate for me? I come to the hotel. That's how they talk in Chicago, isn't it?
It's not bad.
Not too far off. Yeah. So yeah, it's the Drake family who owned this. Right. So let's read from an advert from the newspaper of the time. Celebrities of the film world with appreciative regard for the ultimate of perfection in service and hospitality stop at the Drake when in Chicago. This has only just been built, by the way. But anyway, you got to fake it till you make
Absolutely.
it. They're regarded as a fitting mark of distinction. Yeah. The charm of the Drake's location is unrivaled anywhere. You'll find it on the quiet shore of Lake Michigan, yet only a few minutes away from the heart of the city's business, shopping, and theatrical districts. Rates are unusually moderate. Booklet sent upon request. There you go.
So you can go there and then go to watch Second City Improv at the Theatre District.
Yeah.
Get yourself a job on Saturday Night Live. Beautiful.
Well, yeah.
All thanks to the Drake Hotel.
And staying in a lovely ballroom style. And kind of, it makes me think of that whole, the hotel from The Shining kind of thing. Well, obviously not up a mountain in Colorado. But yeah, kind of nice views.
It's still there now.
Still
there now, the Drake Hotel.
Yeah, no, it still is. Yeah, it's owned by the Hilton Hotel chain. They refurbed it, spent about $48 million refurbing it about 15 years ago.
Yeah.
One of the classiest joints in all of Chicago.
Oh, it's a nice...
It's all right, actually.
Yeah, it's a big solid building, isn't it? In that sort of neoclassical style. It's not Art Deco enough for me, but I guess it's slightly before that, isn't it?
I do like a nice Art Deco.
It's
in the 20s.
Do you know what?
This was literally built in 1920. It might have been prior to the Empire State Building.
It looks sturdy. Sure that's what I'll say for it. It looks like a lovely council offices.
Yeah.
So they're pitching themselves that this is where all of the Hollywood people, all the Hollywood and glamour people. I mean, this is 1920, so you got Buster Keaton, something like that.
Buster Keaton, Charlie Chaplin staying with his current wife.
Fatty Arbuckle. Right.
Oh yeah, this is probably before the moment of shame.
Yeah, well, maybe not.
Well, no, yeah. I mean, I read somewhere apparently that was
bullshit.
He was probably innocent. Yeah, it was somebody had done it to character assassination. I can't remember the details. So
What a scoop! Fatty Arbuckle crushes woman to desk in love tryst.
Yeah, it's probably around the period when was it when they fixed the World Series?
Every year.
That would have been.
I don't know.
Shoeless Joe Jackson and all that. I think that was. I can't remember if that was before the 20s or it was. So yeah, it's all kicking on. Babe Ruth's knocking about. Hopefully, I don't know if I'm getting.
Yeah, because 1920s is really early for.
Yeah, pretty cool time.
Greta Garbo Bow was in the 20s at some point.
Yeah, I mean there was a real kind of like that silent movie.
When did the Marx Brothers film start? 20s or 30s?
30s, I think.
They're good. Anyway, yeah, I guess that my thinking...
But, it's a great time. I think The Great Gatsby,
Yeah.
You got, all these people going around and kind of like Bing Crosby, Walt Disney, George Gershwin, Charles Lindbergh all knocking around.
Oh, Christ, Lindbergh. What a shit.
Hey, good pilot. Yeah, so... Okay.
Only a mild Nazi.
I didn't really... I've forgotten about that. Yeah.
Yeah, not a good guy.
Yeah, 30s, a lot of people got into the whole Hitler trend.
Well, it was he was a disruptor, wasn't he? He was an innovator.
Yeah. He was a warning not to be an early adopter for these kind of things.
Well, as I found out with my PlayStation VR headset, been burnt by that purchase.
Home consumables, fascism, equally.
Wow.
Equally bad things to buy into too early. Just wait and see how it all pans out.
I consider my PlayStation VR headset to be the Third Reich of my flat.
Blitzkrieged its way into your
into my cupboard.
Gaming arena.
Into my cupboard in a box. They don't have much resale value.
It's all right. I'm sure that killer VR app is going to come out any time now. Don't you worry about it. Didn't they just release a Matrix experience or something?
Possibly, but the headset's just really uncomfortable and horrible.
Oh, right. Well, yeah, but if you want to get into the Matrix, can't have a bit of sacrifice.
Yeah, that's true.
Right. Anyway, so it was built. I think it was built sort of literally in 1920. So, but the legend is it's around New Year's Eve 1920. So I don't know whether that must have been fairly close to the opening or something like that. But you can imagine, you're on this cusp of America's sort of really sort of breaking through. Everything's they're making loads of money. Hollywood's just sort of becoming really successful. Chicago, you're making money out your bootlegging. So according to the legend, a woman in a red dress attended the New Year's Eve 1920 celebration. But unfortunately, what she go and do, Chris? She finds out her fiancé is dancing with another woman in the ballroom.
Uh-oh.
What do you think's going to happen here?
Well, knowing 1920s women, she probably overreacts.
I mean, you could say that. Yeah, so she
kills them both, or just commit suicide.
I mean, you're close because it's the latter basically. So she's gone to the gala. They're in the Drake's Gold Coast room. She went off looking for him, found him, enthralled by another woman in the Palm Court parlour.
Was he banging another woman? Was he having sex with her? Is that fancy talk?
No, I think he's just dancing with this other lady, and she just goes up to the 10th floor and jumps out to her death.
Right, so I think that, she had some stuff going on. Do you think she was on the tonics? Because that seems a quite highly strung thing to do.
I think a few concentration pills might have been taken.
I think she may have had a few sips of cocaine liquids,
just to ease the vapours.
She may or may not have had several drops of laudanum in every G&T.
Did they have PCP in the 20s?
She may or may not have been. She may or may not have been huffing ether. I don't know. Right, so sees a bloke dancing with someone else and then just kills herself.
Yeah, so
I know this is a really horrible thing to say, but he dodged a bullet. Do you know what I mean? That's an overreaction, isn't it?
Kind of not, though, is it? Because you'd be like, you go out. I mean,
you don't think that's an overreaction?
Maybe. Oh, I do think it's an overreaction, but that. At the end of the day, that's still gonna So you go and you take somebody along to party. Oh, let's go to Drake's.
Hey, let's go to the new place, Drake's.
Go and dance in the Gold Coast ballroom. It's gonna be great, see. But then you go and dance with someone else, and then you kind of maybe you had an argument. Maybe she kept nagging you about your dinner etiquette.
She kept trying to get the laudanum out of your pocket.
Talking with your mouth full. Yeah. So you go off and dance with some other dame, just to show what's what. But then you find out that she's jumped to her death. I mean, that's gonna haunt you, isn't it?
Oh, it would haunt him. I'm just saying that Don't you think it's an overreaction from her to chuck herself?
Oh, no, I agree, but I kind of like, I think much better is she had just like, I don't know, got a bit furious and then ran off or whatever.
Yeah.
And you think, okay, you're probably a bit temperamental. Maybe this isn't the right. Maybe we're not right for one
I'll be honest.
I mean, let's be honest. This is almost certainly fictional anyway. So.
Yeah. Right. Does she haunt the place now or anything? Nah.
It's funny you should say that. Yeah. So ever since, and there's a photo here. I think it's clearly been photoshopped, but I don't know. We can have a look at that in a minute. Guests at the Drake have reported seeing her apparition on the Gold Coast Room, the Palm Court, and on the 10th floor, as well as on the roof. Because there seems to be, in different tellings of the story, some people claim that she went up to the roof, but it seems to be the 10th floor is where she's doing her haunting.
Well, the 10th floor, judging by this picture and me counting the number of windows, seems to be the top floor.
Yeah.
Oh, no, it wouldn't be. The 11th floor would be, because in America they call the ground floor the first floor, don't they?
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, it's high up enough anyway that you could... I mean, so she's condemned to replay her final night. Her restless soul wanders, attempted to find peace with the final tragic chapter of her life. In addition to spontaneous phantom appearances in a red garment, workers and guests also get a creepy and uncomfortable feeling in the ballroom. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's Uncle John.
That's just a member of the Hilton family hanging around. It's weird, isn't it? Because, like, what? Why does red always symbolise stuff? Because it's, like Miss Koi Koi, she had red boots. It
stands out, doesn't it? It stands out in a...
But red kind of...
Any kind of image.
Is it because it's the colour of blood?
Well, it's blood. It's sort of regarded as sort of colour of passion as well, isn't it? I think it also contrasts quite a bit with neutral colours. So it's sort of...
but so does aquamarine.
Yeah, why not the lady?
Exactly.
Right.
There we go.
Why not the
woman,
lady?
not the lady in aquamarine. That's your Christopher tribute song.
Yeah, a lot of these places are referring to it as the woman in red. For me, I can't get that Christopher song out of my head clearly. So it's got to be.
In fact, that's why you chose this, isn't it?
Yes, this is very much was my
little New Year's treat to yourself.
Step pilot for a Christopher podcast that I'll be putting up. 101 Ways Why Lady in Red is the finest Christmas song of all time, or whatever.
And then I'll tell you by 1001 Ways Why Lady in Red is the best song of all time, not just Christmas. You'll be doing that one on your own, yeah?
What's it about?
Good.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm going to get syndicated in the Daily Express. Just make it about how it was written about Princess Diana.
Lovely. They'll go for it. They don't know what a podcast is.
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah. I don't know what radio is.
Just call it Diana Pod.
Yeah.
The Diana Podcast.
The one true lady in red.
Who haunts Chicago.
You never hear of Lady Di haunting anyone, do you?
No, only all of our hearts.
Our hearts, obviously,
and the mind of the editors of the Express. Maybe she haunts the Express.
That's entirely possible. Yeah, she haunts the deluded imaginations of the people who write for
Maybe
the
she
Express.
just haunts the offices of the Daily Express, so that's what they have to write about all the time.
Yeah. Do you reckon? Otherwise, it's like some weird Japanese horror film where if you don't write a Diana article every 3 days, you're going to die screaming. Yeah, die in extreme pain. One editor is just like a terrified look on his face. Died of an overwhelming coronary. Just nobody's been prepared to risk it.
We can't find any cause of death. It looks like it's all.
It's been 20 years. What are we going to do this time? A medium and her views on Brexit. How about that? Yeah.
It looks like all of his organs were removed, but without any surgery. That's the curse of Diana. Oh no, I mentioned her name. Next day. There we go. Follow up to Squid Games.
Lady Diana hauntings. Well, do you know what? They're going to make a sequel out of that, inevitably.
What, Squid Game? Yeah, it's already been sorted.
Yeah, I mean, it's inevitable, isn't it? But, make it about Princess Di.
And and a haunting of the Daily Express offices.
Well, they had that, like, big doll, like the little girl with the covering her eyes, and they're playing, like, Mr. Wolf, whatever they were calling it.
Diana.
Was that?
Red, green light.
Diana statue. Yeah, when her eyes flash red. Just like, machine guns down.
The final one is they have to fight to the death in that Diana fountain in Green Park or wherever it is.
Yeah, to lay the final memorial wreath on the tributes outside.
Candle in the Wind plays.
Yeah,
that'd be good.
Yeah, every single person who dies gets Candle in the Wind played about them. That'd be good from there.
Yeah, that would be good. And they get a Diana they get a Diana commemorative coin put over each eye, which you can buy in the Daily Express.
Really? 30th anniversary of her marriage to Prince Charles or whatever. I'm going to celebrate this with this delicious pewter coin available for just 3 instalments from 1999. Limited to 15,000 pieces. This is sure to be
a collector's item. It will surely go up in value.
Inquiring soon. It's bound to go up in value.
Collectible coin.
Asterisks, tiny writing. Yeah. This may well decrease in value also. This may be available on eBay for 50p.
Within a week. Yeah.
Well, I mean, and funnily enough, actually, just to tie that back into the Drake Hotel. So apparently they do like a very nice tea ceremony in the Palm Court.
Tea ceremony? What, like the Japanese one?
No, like a kind of like a high tea afternoon.
Right, I don't think we call that a ceremony, do we?
No, it's not a ceremony. I don't know where I was. You're right. I was confusing it with the Japanese. No, they do
it's a really confusing hotel.
Yeah. Hugely, inconsistent. Both Prince Charles and Lady Di have been to this high tea there.
Really?
But, not together.
Not together,
as it said in the Wikipedia. Yeah. Oh, the fairy tale went sour eventually, Chris.
Wow.
You could have seen that coming, looking at his gulping mug.
Well, no mortal human was good enough for her. She's by the left hand of Jesus now. His wife, I imagine.
Get into that.
No, what I'll just say is we're not taking the piss out of Diana. We're taking the piss out of the media's coverage of Diana. Her herself seems like she was an all right person, all things considered.
Absolutely.
And she was treated very badly. And so we're just making a joke at the media's handling of it. And it's a shame to have to break character and tell you that. But I am aware of the times that we live in.
Yeah, it's the people knew nothing about ascribing motives that they couldn't possibly know. But yeah, so staff have seen sort of, quite a few hauntings. I mean, the one thing I will say here, Chris, so firstly, there's no actual record of a woman dying on the New Year's Eve in 1920.
It was 1920.
Would it have been covered up? Yeah, exactly. It was 1920. And if you're opening up your fancy new hotel,
Do you know what? If it was a fancy new hotel, there were probably mobsters there and they knew how to get rid of a body.
Yeah. You just go up to a table just to Yeah.
Excuse me, Mr. Bobby. We just had an accident outside. A woman's killed herself. Don't worry about it, see? Hey, Knuckles, go and deliver the goods down to the Lake Michigan. Okay, boss. Something like that.
Well, yeah, I mean, in fact, it could have been a precursor of Francesco Frank the Enforcer Nitto, who headed the Chicago advert in the 30s and 40s, and he maintained his office in the Drake Hotel.
Here we go. One of those mob.
So yeah, they had an in with a mafia. And yeah, I mean, I don't know when would they have been? I know that would have been down in LA, would it, Bugsy Siegel? But yeah, I mean, this hotel has had a few other hauntings. It was involved in the Leopold and Leob case. I mean,
what's that?
You read about these guys? So there's these two chaps who killed one of their family or something. So it was. They're kind of like thrill killers, and Hitchcock made a movie called Rape about them, which is quite famous. But yeah, no, they'd read like Nietzsche or something, and they decided that it would be cracking good fun in 24 to go and kill their cousin or something, just to show that they could get away with it because they were so smart.
They believed in the Nietzschean Superman theory, right?
Yeah, this kind of thing where people you'd love to sort of like bring him back and go, "Oh, is that what you meant?"
Yeah.
It's probably a close reading of his works wouldn't have actually admired this kind of nonsense. Yeah, when I said go beyond good and evil, I probably
I wouldn't even say a close reading. I'd say a cursory glance at a
Wikipedia page,
a pocket guides to Nietzsche.
yeah, because there seemed to be a bit of that back in those days. Or that was I'd heard they were influenced by Nietzsche. Whether that it's something that was made up afterwards, but they were kind of influenced by those kind of things and were trying to prove that they were kind of like vastly smart and could get away with these.
I mean, there is part of. I think there's part of all of us that, like. I mean, I don't really think about murdering people, but I think about you play out how you would get away with like a robbery or something. Like, how would I do it? How would I be able to get away with something? And you kind of think, what are the ways that people fall down? What's the stupid stuff people do? And that, and you try and figure out, would you be able to do it? And get away with it and that kind of stuff. So I think that's normal. I think, acting it out, isn't normal. And I think trying to prove you're smart by seeing if you can get away with murder or stuff like that is highly abnormal, really, isn't it? It's
it's incredibly.
Well, especially if there's two of you as well. Like, what a lone person, you can kind of. But it was probably one of those relationships where one was kind of the boss and the other one was getting bossed around or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I can't remember the details, but I think there might have been something on that. There was probably kind of like you get this sometimes, don't you, where people have very tight-knit relationships when there's some more. So you sometimes see
one's kind of subservient. I think the other. Like us, our relationship. You're very much the boss, and I'm subservient and just do what I'm told, really, to try and win your approval.
Yeah. And I've got a project I want to talk to you about.
Off air?
Over the new year. So off air. Yeah, don't do it on the mic. They go out the Drake Hotel and stuff. Yeah, but yeah, apparently they got interrogated in the Drake Hotel, and the parents of the unfortunate kid that they killed both stayed at the Drake Hotel afterwards, and died there. So that was
what? Yeah. So the killers were interviewed in the hotel.
There was some sort of I don't know whether they were staying there or something.
And then the parents decided to stay there and then just died.
Oh, this was like years later. So, but supposedly, you'll see the father and mother. So they had a suite. He died of a heart attack in a suite at the Drake Hotel in 1928. The father of the victim, and the mother died in the hotel 9 years later.
Why were they going back to this hotel?
You can see them to this day wandering the hotel. I don't think that was where it was killed. I'm not sure. I read somewhere, it might be false, that apparently there was some other link that the police interrogated them at one point in the hotel. It might have been like, I don't know, they were having lunch there or something. And they took.
But why would she want to go to the hotel where her husband had died?
Oh no, they were both living there by this point.
They were living in the hotel.
Yeah, they had a suite of. Well, this was back. If you're rich enough, you can just get it's like Thatcher did at the end of her life. She just had a suite of rooms.
Oh really?
Well, it's nice if you can get it, Chris. Yeah, in some hotel.
I wouldn't want to live in a hotel.
Clean up after you. If I could have a suite, it'd be all right. Someone else just, looking after you. If you're of a certain age as well, I would imagine as well.
Is that what you want?
They've obviously got a bit of money. not particularly well. I'm not overly bothered, but it'd be all right if you can afford it. I mean, there's worse ways to live. Let's put it like that.
Yeah, yes and no. It's like fancy prison, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, yeah, I would get bored of it, actually.
Because presumably you'd have a limited menu.
Oh, yeah, but I'm sure you could get food from elsewhere or what have you, couldn't you? And I suspect if you're kind of like longer term, then you can probably
ding-a-ling-a-ling.
get something special on the side.
Hello, reception. Oh, fucking hell. Hello.
Okay.
How can we help? Hi. Hello. Is that reception? Oh.
Neil ordering a Pizza Hut again.
Yeah. Can you go out and get me a calzone from that place that does it near the shops? But it's not really a calzone. It's like a deep fried pizza. Yeah, okay. Thanks.
Can you get me a munchie box? Can you get me a munchie box from the nearest Glaswegian?
Can you go to the Glaswegian chip shop and get me a munchie box, please?
Munchie box and a bottle of Bucky and 4 Stellas. Thank you.
Well, I mean, the reason he can afford to stay here is because he's got really cheap tastes.
Yeah, exactly.
You get me a packet of chips and a bottle of Bells. Thanks. I'm going to watch some DVDs. Lovely. That's living all right, isn't it?
It could be worse. That seems okay. Oh, I'm regretful now that my local chip shop doesn't do a munchie box. It's probably just a heart attack waiting to happen.
I mean, you could ask them. You could just take them some random stuff from Iceland and say, look, you keep these in the freezer. I'm going to come round and ask for a munchie box. What it is just grab any amount of any of the stuff at random, deep fry it, that and some chips, and then charge me double. Just charge me a £5. Like, I'm paying for the stuff. It's just, the chips, really.
Yeah.
Here's some pizza boxes to put it in.
I'll give it a go, see if it takes on.
Might well do. These are hard times. People need the calories for this cruel, cruel winter. So what else has happened at this sort of bizarrely action-packed hotel?
Yeah, I mean, you've got the mob involved.
I mean, all hotels have had people die like that. Any hotel.
To be honest with you, it's not
how many
really
people,
that haunted.
No, I mean, how many people do you think have committed suicide in per cap, in every travel lodge? I mean,
much higher than the norm, I would have thought. It's where you go, isn't it? Because it's just kind of like, you go to check out, as it were.
It kind of feels like you're in a hospice. So,
yeah. Despite what Lenny Henry might tell you about those Premier Inns or whatever they're called, he was flogging.
Comfy beds.
Yeah. The worst one was, did you ever see, they tried to do an EasyJet branded hotel chain?
Oh, right.
Well, I think they might have done, actually.
Yeah, they did.
But the original idea was, it was, that obnoxious orange colour?
Yeah.
Every room was supposed to be filled with that.
Ooh.
And I think even they realised got to tone that down a little bit. That would be awful, wouldn't it? It'd be like that. That'd be like being in some torture bunker.
Yeah, be like
Stelios, like, you £5. Like, I think I'd rather sleep on the street than in this orange nightmare.
Rather get some cheap whiz and stay up for 3 days.
Yeah. Oh, good Lord.
So,
let's have a look. So, urban legends. So, no, there's not. I mean, one thing I'll say, it's been in a lot of movies and things.
Has it?
So, Risky Business, Best Friend's Wedding, What Women Want. That was the hilarious comedy with Mel Gibson, you'll recollect. I imagine that scene.
We could read women's minds.
Yeah, because he electrocutes himself in a bath while putting on stockings and nail varnish for some reason.
Does he?
Yeah.
Was that? Was that found footage and they just wrote back?
I reckon. Yeah, no, this is supposedly the whole plot, and this is what the whole plot is.
He's a womanising shit or something.
Yeah, he's a womanising shit, but he's also a hotshot advertising exec, and he needs to understand how women think. Right. So he decides, in order to do this, what he'll do is shave his legs and put on some nail varnish and some stockings. And
what a woman! What's it like being a woman?
On an orange with some amyl nitrate sprinkled on it. And put a belt around his neck and hang it from the
orange in his mouth.
I assume is where they were going with that. But no, and then he's I don't know, he's blow drying his hair or whatever, and then he slips in the bath and the electrocution gives.
What the hell, the Sheilas now have their hair dryers?
It's one of the better X-Men origin stories, I'll be honest with you.
Oh, yeah, and then later on in the film, he moves the whole Golden Gate Bridge, doesn't he, with his mind?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. One of those early Marvel tie-ins.
Well, I mean, isn't that what all women want men to be able to do? Read their minds? I think...
Probably not. It would be invasive.
Yes, I think that's what everyone wants, isn't it? To have their minds read.
Because it's more a base level of empathy.
Because there's absolutely no way that could be used to manipulate people. That doesn't actually show any change, like, in the person. That just shows that they know what that person wants and then can use their ability to read minds to give them it, to manipulate them. It doesn't show that. I mean, it's quite a psychotic way to.
You can argue his redemption isn't particularly well earned.
I've not seen the film. I'll be honest with you.
I really can't remember too much.
I've also not seen Risky Business, and I've also not seen the other film.
I've not seen Risky Business. I'm surprised that what's his face, Ferris Bueller, didn't get involved. I assumed he went everywhere in Chicago in that movie.
I've not seen that. I've seen that once years ago. I don't remember it.
Yeah, saw it years ago. I just remember there's this. They all go like to the Museum of Art or whatever and go and see all the Chicago hotspots.
Go and see some improv.
What they might be.
Have a deep dish pizza.
Yeah. Oh, beautiful. That's an interesting recipe, isn't it?
It's like an apple pie, but with tomato.
Take a pizza and I mean, fair enough. I'd try it.
I probably wouldn't.
You're not going to get through a whole one of those, though, are you?
Yes, I would. Yeah.
You reckon?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm good at eating.
It's like a tomato stew. Yeah. A pie with like cheese on top. Beautiful.
The problem is I don't think that I'd like them. I think the tomato sauce would be too much for me, and I think there's probably a lot of onions in the sauce, which would be a no for me. It's like
it'd be all right for me. I just think it'd be too filling. Give it a go.
No, there you go. Maybe.
Have you ever had those? What do they call them? The tiny ones, the Chicago
Town ones. Yeah, I've eaten them regularly. Yeah. The microwave ones. Yeah, I've had loads of them.
Yeah, they're not too shabby.
Yeah, they're all right. They're good on very good on a hangover.
Precisely. Not eating that sober.
When you want something hot that'll take the skin off the top of your mouth, bang one of those.
There's little preparation as necessary.
I mean, and I'm talking a hangover when even taking the cellophane off is quite a struggle.
Yeah.
And I think they realise that that's what they're for, because when you used to get them, you used to have to sort of slightly construct a box to put it on. Like,
it's like,
and now it's just like a bit of a silver plate that comes with it, so you can just put it straight in.
Yeah.
So I think they've just made it even easier for the hungover community.
Well, the absolute nadir of that is they've got one called, have you heard of Rustlers?
Yes.
Where they just do like these like burgers and stuff you put in the microwave because, bread works really well in the microwave. But they've got one and you literally don't even need to take any of the wrapping off. You just shove it straight in and then the polythene like pops. It's like, that's fine. It actually tells you on the box, it's like, don't bother opening this, it's fine. You're far too drunk. Just put it in the microwave. It's gonna be a bag, don't worry about that. It'll shock you a little bit, but just wait for it to
the bag will wake you up to eat it.
Yeah. Oh yeah, they might have actually thought of that on purpose. Oh, it's an unexpected side effect. We trialled it with a bunch of drunks. This is actually really good. Actually woke them up and remembered to eat their burger.
Oh yeah, I have.
Otherwise, they were waking up the morning afterwards and then trying to ingest this cold water.
Oh dear! I think I've probably done that. Oh. Yeah, sure, I have. I might be eating one now. Lovely stuff.
So yeah, there's not a lot really to say about. I mean, you try and research and see how true this may or may not be. As I say, there's no real
but record keeping in the 20s.
Yeah, again, it doesn't necessarily discount it, but it certainly has been rumoured, and there's no real quotes from hotel workers. It's just supposedly the staff have seen hauntings.
Well, I imagine that the Hilton family put gagging orders on them.
That's true, actually. Yeah, do you reckon you have to sign a non-disclosure agreement when you go to work at the Drake?
Yeah. No.
When one works at the Drake, one does not talk about the Drake. Yes, there are hauntings on the 10th
You
floor.
may not You may not, in public or private, discuss the ghost or Paris Hilton. That's our NDA.
They're going to need special training if you're going to work on the 10th floor.
What, like divining rods?
Dealing with apparitions,
Divining rods, ley line knowledge, that kind of thing. Maybe. Or maybe they just get people. I mean, I would imagine working in that hotel, seeing a ghost isn't the worst thing you've seen. Do you know what I mean?
No, that's true.
If you're working in room service.
Yeah.
I mean, if Charles has been there.
Oh, good Lord. He's out for his parties, see the notes. Yeah. If Prince Andrew's been in there, you see much worse stuff.
It's even more haunted now.
That's some rules in there. Good Lord.
So, if that's that, shall we go through our scoring system?
I think that's going to put a cap on it, to be honest with you. I mean, the only other things we could find about New Year's Eve were a bunch of stories on Reddit, to be honest with you. So, there's traditions and then there's stories, and we didn't really want to, dive into creepy texts on Reddit.
No, so, yeah, fuck knows what we'll do next year, but maybe do this one again.
We'll have to start on urban myth ourselves.
Yeah, let's try and do that. So
let's try and create one this year.
Yeah, you would think that there'd be some kind of, I don't know, New Year's goblin or something that haunts the Black Forest. And if you don't, I don't know, if you don't leave a slice of gatto on an outside window ledge, then he steals your kids or something like that. You would have thought that.
Make something up and try and get it into a newspaper maybe for next year.
Yeah,
and then we can refer to it. Even though
the little known Bavarian tale of the New Year's goblin.
Yeah, the shit goblin.
Or we could do one about maybe
he'll be constipated all year round if you don't feed him gruel and
there's maybe a stump squatch in Washington State who on New Year's
he haunts the monument on New Year's.
Or he puts potatoes.
I believe in democracy.
He puts potatoes in exhaust pipes on New Year's because he
scam. It's gangster.
Because he he's environmental, isn't he? Because he's a stump squatch.
He just wants all electric cars. Stop destroying his habitat.
That's not a stump squatch. That's Elon Musk. Really? I can't. I don't know. I can't really. Are you sure?
No, I couldn't tell them apart.
Can't tell them apart.
I know one of them's been on Joe Rogan and the other one hasn't.
Or has he? I don't know.
Well, yeah, maybe.
I don't know. It's impossible to say.
Literally. Joe Rogan's had any mythical beasts on his podcast? It's likely, isn't it?
Well, he had that guy out of 9 Inch Nails or whatever who was clearly coked off his nut.
Oh, do you mean?
And he believes that sort of the government agencies have been in contact with him to talk about UFOs and stuff.
Oh, really? Trent Reznor is his name.
Yeah, is it 9 Inch Nails? It's one of those. What are the other ones?
Could be Marilyn Manson, maybe?
No, it wasn't Marilyn Manson.
Trent Reznor, I don't really know much about him, but he seemed reasonably normal.
What are the names of those new metal bands?
So I don't really know too much about any of these things, but I always thought 9 Inch Nails were more kind of industrial.
Linkin Park? He might have been Linkin Park.
He
might have been a guitarist in Linkin Park.
Yeah.
Let's have a look.
I don't know who that would be, but it's entirely that feels possible.
And he's got a really, really American name.
Wes Borland, is it? Or is that no? He's the fellow with the one who does guitar with a
Blink 182. No, sorry. So it turns out that a lot of the new metal bands had UFO stuff. So,
surprise.
A bit of a Venn situation. Chester Bennington, who was the Linkin Park frontman, who saw a UFO just months before his death. No, can't be a coincidence. So it was Blink 182. Tom DeLonge. He was the one who's like gone off the deep end, I think, because of drugs. But his Joe Rogan episode's quite interesting to watch because it's.
Oh, okay. I've never watched Joe Rogan podcast. It seems off-putting to me.
No, I watched quite a few of them before it wasn't always quite what it is now.
Oh, fair enough.
Do you know what I mean?
Listen to, yeah.
Like it seems to have gone completely alt-right, but
yeah.
It wasn't. It was quite interesting-ish for a bit, but you know, he's moved with the times, isn't he? And he's the most popular podcaster in the world. Second only to...
Didn't he sign something with Spotify or something?
Yeah, something like that.
With like millions or something like that.
Yeah, he earns loads of money out of it. And obviously, angry alt-right people are probably more loyal to podcasts, you know, than say our viewers, the glib left.
Yeah. Yeah, you know.
Yeah, so look up Tom DeLonge.
Leave him be. Leave him so it's a bit
in the maybe part.
Yeah, that was kind of the maybe part.
All right, Neil. So
right, yeah, let's score this puppy.
All right, you can go first. Spookiness.
Yeah, not terribly spooky, other than somebody completely overreacting in what's entirely possibly a completely fictional story. So I think, you know, it's a standard haunting with very little evidence for the.
That's a standard haunting.
It's a standard haunting.
No extra.
You know, you can get out of bed for a haunting like that, would you? But you know, and as you say, any hotel with a bit of history is bound to have some hauntings. There's going to be a few dead bodies down the years.
But I used to work in when I was 19. When I worked in a bar in a hotel, that was meant to be haunted, but I never saw nothing.
Yeah, when you say meant to be haunted, it's kind of like, oh yeah, I've heard rumours that.
That's a lot older than.
Any big old building is going to have, like, you know, doors swinging and kind of weird noises and creepy stuff.
Any building that you're in.
Yeah. You hear some unwarranted noise. Yeah, so, no. I mean, just the fact of somebody, sort of, you know, you go to a party with somebody and then, you know, they tragically jump up on the 10th floor. That's quite spooky. You wouldn't like that. But other than, so I'm going to give it a 3 on that basis.
Hotel I used to work in, 3, I'll note that down. It's nearly 100 years older. It was built in 1826.
There you go.
That's before America was even discovered.
Yeah, pretty much.
So, spookiness.
Discovered about, 120 years ago, was it?
I believe the centenary was in 19... it was millennium, wasn't it? That was the centenary.
That was the centenary, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. That's what that was referring to.
That was that was it. So, I mean, the story isn't very spooky. It just seems really over the top. I mean, you kind of wonder what was going on in that person's life I mean, it's upsetting, sure, but is it worth having no more existence for? Probably not.
No, move on.
Yeah, move on.
He was just some great, you know.
Exactly. You know, just go, all right, well, then, you know, this isn't someone that I should be with anyway. So it's better I know now. I mean, it's weird that, they were living there, weren't they? Yeah, I mean, it's not incredibly spooky, but the fact that there's some hauntings and stuff meant to carry on to this day makes it a bit more spooky. So it's not the least spooky. And yeah, it's an old building. It's a big building. Can imagine if you're having to wander around it, you know, at night or whatever, it might be, you know, kind of labyrinth of corridors. You hear some noises.
Was that a red apparition I saw at the corner of my eye?
What was it? Prince Charles.
Yeah.
So I'm going to give it a 4. So believability. So, I mean, you know, it's believable that someone committed suicide, I guess. Unfortunately, that does happen. But there's no record of it or anything, you know, even though it was 1920s. You would have thought that something like that would have been in a newspaper, I would think, unless it was kind of covered up, I guess. So But I mean, there's nothing kind of crazy going on here, is there? That's really like, oh, unbelievable. Apart from the perhaps haunting.
Not an EMF situation.
No. So it's going to be a 4 again for believability for me. No.
Yeah, it's kind of, it's on the balance for me as well, because it's kind of like, as you say, firstly, it's kind of like, I mean, again, could well be that somebody had some other issues in their life, what have you, that sort of put them on the cusp of doing something drastic like that. That's the part that sort of stretches credulity to me, is that, although you don't know kind of like in terms of where they were in their relationship. So it's possible that could have happened. The fact that there's no sort of record of it, or there's no real names or anything like that, kind of like pushes it down a little bit, though. So overall, I'm going to give this. It's going to be another 3 for me, I think.
3, okay. So Reach, Neil.
I hadn't heard of this. This was me frantically searching for any half decent New Year's Eve story that might fit under a remit, and this was the only one that kind of fit the bill for me. But yeah, it took a bit of searching out. Now, obviously, the Drake Hotel. Well, I haven't heard of the Drake Hotel, but that's presumably pretty well known. It seems to have had quite a lot of famous people stay there over the years.
Yeah.
So it's not going to go away completely, and it's almost one of those things where there's some kind of like
adds
a bit of a ghost story. Yeah, it adds a little bit of local colour without getting too much into gory specifics or anything like that. So frankly, we've probably completely, overthought it in terms of what's just a little bit of just splash local colour.
That's what we do.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I don't. But having said that, unless you've got reasons to sort of search this out or sort of like think about what's going on at the Drake Hotel, it's not really one you're going to come across. It's not terribly thought provoking or sort of, so I could see it sticking around just for people who stay at the Drake Hotel. Oh, have you heard about the haunting on floor 10? But I don't think it's probably massively well known or would spread around too much because it's just not that interesting of a story. So it's going to be. I'm going to give this a 4.
4. So Reach, I think this has got a tiny, tiny reach. I would be surprised if most people in Chicago have heard of it. It's literally one building, and an exclusive bunch of people have stayed in the building.
Yeah.
There's not been, and I mean, the hotel itself has more reach than the story within, because it's been in films and stuff. But I mean, you've really got to dig to find this. So I mean, I'm going. It's a reach of 2 for me, and I was playing with 1, but I don't like. There'll be something with no reach at all at some point. So narrative premise. So it's got a bit of a narrative of some person seeing someone dance someone and topping themselves. I mean, it's not a great story. The premise isn't a new one of someone dying somewhere and then haunting it. Again, it's not going to be very high for me, unfortunately. There's some other stuff, I guess, we're talking about this specifically. There's some other stuff around the hotel where incidents have occurred. I mean, the hotel has more kind of an interesting story, really. Like a mobster lived there for a bit, and then there was those people weirdly lived there and both died, and their son had
after a big criminal case. Yeah.
But again, that's patchy. If anything, I'd say that this hotel's been relatively quiet, considering it's been around for 100 years and it's really big. And also 100 years during quite a tumultuous time in Chicago. Do you know what I mean? With all the
absolutely
mob stuff and all the improv and all that. So I think
that's what happened to all of the Chicago mobsters when they
went improv.
They went improv after Prohibition got repealed.
So I'm gonna.
That's how that.
I'm gonna give it a 3. Neil,
make more money out of teaching improv classes. It's a much better racket. It's going to be. This is going to be a low one for me as well. It's a real kind of like basement bargain ghost story. To be honest with you, it's kind of like something you've heard plenty of times before. I'm going to give it a 2.
2. So that gives it one of our lowest scores of 25.
Oh, but we're just breaking double figures here. Yeah, there's not much to it, is there?
No, there isn't a lot to it. I mean, if you know
if anyone knows of any good New Year's Eve urban legends,
that's it. What's that email address, Neil?
I wouldn't know, Chris. Was it herb.legends@gmail.com?
No, herb.legends.podcast@gmail.com. So let us know if you know of any New Year's urban legends or anything at all you'd like us to look into. That's fine. So I'll just say from myself here at Urban Legends, have a happy new year. And, fingers crossed you get a handsome, tall gentleman as the first person across your threshold who pops a gherkin in your pocket as a symbol of the new year. So from me...
It's a lump of coal into your fire. Volleys it in from the from thresholds. That's always good luck.
Always good luck. So, have a good new year, and we will be back next week as normal. Goodbye.